Hello, welcome to episode 99 of Anime Territory. I'm your host this week, Jonny. With me as always is my co-host, Benjamin Shashwing.
Okay.
I thought we decided on the Schwing for the nickname, but then I thought, well, why don't I just bring back your old nickname?
Okay, but it wasn't Showing.
I know, but I incorporated it in. It was Benjamin Shabing, and I just put the Schwing in there. So
Gotcha.
This week we're talking about the second arc of Hunter x Hunter. We're talking about the Heaven's Arena arc, which is tied for the shortest arc with the last arc, Election arc.
Okay.
This one is sort of an intermediate arc. There's not much that really happens in this, but it kind of is set up for.
I feel like
it's fights and then setup.
Okay. I feel like there is one big thing that happened in this.
Yeah, that's part of the setup.
Okay.
And the other short arc, Election arc, is just sort of like kind of like an epilogue to the show, and like, hey, this is what could be coming up in the future, and then they never continued the show. The manga did continue, but I did not read a lot of it. It was getting a little too much for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's also like I had to find some fan translations, and it wasn't the greatest translation from what I could tell. It was getting confusing. Is what it was getting.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get back to it eventually. But Hunter x Hunter Arc 2, what are your thoughts? Spoiler free.
I enjoyed it. That was fun.
Okay, good. I was wondering, because like it could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
It could be like, I don't know, things aren't really happening to, I don't know, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But
there's some issues with it. Personal issues, I guess, but
okay, well,
I had fun watching it.
Do you want to get into those personal issues?
Not really. It's just more why I don't really like shonens.
Okay. I mean, like,
I guess it's just there's this magic system. It takes 4 months to learn. Gon learns it in 2 weeks.
Whatever.
It's just like
it's longer than that, but it is.
Yeah.
It is definitely they're quick to pick it up, but they kind of just need.
And again, that's just a nitpick, I guess. But
yeah, they kind of play the they're gifted ones trope here, but I feel like they just kind of needed to in order to get them to what they wanted to do in the next arc.
Yeah,
which is why I said this is sort of an intermediate setup thing, because there's no magic system in the first arc that we see on paper.
Yes,
characters like have it.
Mm-hmm.
Presumably, but you could kind of just not like you could kind of have ended the show there and been like, yeah, there's no like magic in that show sort of thing. Like, oh yeah, some guys were able to do some weird like juggling techniques or whatever, but like, or
people juggle
swords, or this guy can hurt you with cards or whatever. Like there's little hints of stuff, but it's not quite like, okay, this is for sure a magic system. Whereas now they're just like, yep, we got a magic system. Mm-hmm. And a magic system, I should say, they don't call it magic.
No.
It's ki, it's
aura,
it's what they call it nin, but I'm just trying to compare it. It's chakra from Naruto. It's ki from Dragon Ball. It's, energy is what it is. It's mana. It's MP. They get some MP in this.
Magic things.
So
metachlorians.
Metachlorians is not. There's no P in metachlorians.
It's not metaporians.
No, it's not metaporians. It's metachlorian pores. There's pores that metachlorians come out. Anyway, yeah. So this one is basically just to have some fun fights and then set up this magic system. And be like, oh yeah, everybody's gonna have it moving forward. I will say it has not really reached the point where the fights are, it's my bullshit magic versus your bullshit magic, and whoever has the stronger laser beam wins, sort of thing.
Is that what it becomes?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think it does a better job of that.
Okay.
But shows just go down that path. But I feel like the strength of the first arc of this is just kind of how creative some of the fights and situations feel. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this arc keeps that up. So like...
Yeah. It's more...
It's going to become more of a, this is this guy's gimmick, how do we beat them sort of thing.
Okay. Which I can get down with.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this guy, I mean, spoilers for the show, go and fights the top guy.
Yeah.
And he's not top as in on top, as in he uses tops as weapons. And it's like, okay, he's got this like automated magic top, we'll go and crash into you. How do you fight that? Well, you lower your armor actually, and then you use your elevated senses to try to like dodge.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, okay, but that only helps for dodging. How do you attack the guy? It's like, well, I'll go after him and try to ignore the tops. And it's like,
well, now he's a top.
Yeah, now he can, spin, and it's going to be hard to actually like get a hit in on a creature that's spinning that quickly. So how do you confront that? And it's like, okay, well, second fight, I'll bring my fishing rod and use my brute strength to pull up the floor and knock him over that way. Mm-hmm. And then just break his prosthetic leg.
He slipped the leg.
I didn't write this down in my notes, but I thought about writing it down in my notes when we were watching. It's like, yeah, this show is about the main characters fighting some cripples. Which I know is not the proper term, but it's just like, yeah, that guy lost an arm, and that guy doesn't have any legs. He's just got a top for a leg, and
the other guy's in a wheelchair.
That dude's in a wheelchair.
And it's
and they're the bullies.
It's because they didn't have Nin when they came in, right?
Yes. So this magic system that the characters discover for the first time here is that, hey, there's two ways of getting this. You can train and slowly become aware of the power in your body and release it, or you can be attacked by Nin, and that fight or flight might activate it, or you might die.
Uh-huh.
And these characters, they did not know of Nin. They were ignorant of it coming in. They got jumped. They lost a limb in the process, but they'd awakened their Nin, and now they have it.
Yep.
Which is like, okay, I can see that as far as like, okay, I like that there's a system where we can have characters get it suddenly, and you don't have to think like, man, all these guys trained in this obscure magical art for several years to get this, and it's like, no, some of them were just fucking trauma.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we can have an explanation for introducing characters and not have to worry about, that not really in the personality of that person to be a studious trainer or whatever. So, but yeah, what do you think of the magic system? I've got notes on it that I can kind of talk about if you have questions.
For now, I think they do a pretty good job of explaining it. I couldn't explain it to you, but like I got it for the most part.
Okay. Do you want me to kind of go through an explanation for our listeners here?
Sure.
Okay. So Nin is the name of the whole system or whatever.
Yes.
It's broken down into 4 main parts.
Mm-hmm.
So there is 10, which is basically just hardening your aura for defense.
Okay.
Controlling your aura for defense. There is Zetsu, which is cutting off your aura completely. Everybody releases a little bit of aura, but Zetsu is cutting it off completely so that you can't really be sensed by others. It can be used for stealth. It also supposedly keeping the aura inside helps you recover fatigue and heal quicker.
Mm-hmm.
There is Rin, which at this point is honestly kind of what's the point of it. It's basically just to build up power. But our main characters haven't really learned the next step, which is Hatsu, how to act with that power.
Mm-hmm.
So Rin is kind of like charging up.
Yeah.
But at this point, they don't really have anything to do with that charging up. Other than, I guess, like, they can hit a little bit harder and take more defense or whatever. Mm-hmm. But they don't have the last step, which is Hatsu, which is acting. That's going to be your attacks, your special abilities, anything that, takes a physical form on things. So, we get some characters, Hatsu, the top guy I was talking about, well, that is spinning like a top and controlling his tops. That's his activation of his aura.
Okay.
The wheelchair guy has, like, boosters that are powered by his aura, so he can...
Okay, that's his aura?
Yeah.
Okay.
The The guy missing an arm has like a ghost phantom arm. He's phantom limb with that one arm.
Yeah.
Hisoka has he's got 2 things that he can do, which is
the gum thing. Gummy.
Yeah.
Gummy ray. Gummy.
God, it's rubber gum. Is that what it? What? Well, now I can't think of it. It's
you can basically
his aura has the properties of both rubber and gum.
Yes. You can stick things to it and control it.
Hisoka's power is called bungee gum. That's
bungee gum.
Bungee gum. It's named after a gum that he liked as a child. And then he has like a secondary ability, which is not really that useful for combat, other than like deceiving people, which is texture surprise. He can basically just make anything look like a different texture. So like.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
He uses like his arm gets cut off in a fight, and so he sticks it back onto his stump with his with the gum part of his bungee gum, and then uses the texture surprise to make it look like it's perfectly healed or whatever. And then it eventually gets more thoroughly sewn back on later by a different character. But that's the Hatsu there, and we don't really get to see Gon or Killua use Hatsu so much in this arc. So again, it just kind of makes me feel like, well, what is Ren's use if you're not going to then like channel the energy into something? And I guess it's basically just the more aura you have, the harder you hit, the harder you can take hits.
Yes.
So building it up is still useful. There are some other like nicher uses. So they mentioned, I think is it Gyo? I didn't actually write this one down.
Yeah, I saw them on Wikipedia. I didn't write them down though.
Which is basically focusing your aura into your eyes, all of your aura into your eyes, so that you can see other people's, them hiding their aura, sort of thing. You can hide your aura from things too. You can conceal it, and then you'd have to use Go to see it. But that's the basics of Nen. Okay. And then how you can use your Hatsu, your acting upon, is kind of determined by what type you are. So there's a chart that they have, and you naturally fall into one type, but you could learn other things, but it's going to be harder for you, and it's going to just take up more of your capacity to do things too. Yes. So it's better to stick to what you know, but you can branch out. So at the top of this chart we have Enhancer, which is just I get bigger, I get stronger, I get tougher. Okay. I am enhancing something. There is Emitter, which is like I'm going to shoot something. I'm going to fire a fireball or something at you. Okay. There is Manipulator, which is I'm going to like control something with my.
I control you.
Yeah. So like,
I forget. Is he is Hisoka a manipulator or a conjure?
He is a transmuter.
He's a transmuter. Okay. Because
he turns his aura into a thing that is like rubber and gum. Gotcha. And that's how he is doing that. Okay. But it's he's sort of manipulating with it. It kind of toes the line there. There's Conjurer, who summons things, conjures things. We get to see this with what's his name? It's not Apollo Creed.
Castro.
He's able to conjure like a duplicate him sort of thing. And technically, that's also manipulating because he's controlling the duplicate at the
But he's also an enhancer, so it didn't really work that well.
Yeah, he invested too much points into that. It was harder for. If you think of it like a skill tree, you can invest your points in the different skills, and some of them are going to be easier for other people. And he did not choose that. He chose the ones that were harder for him and wasted too much points on it. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of briefly mentioned Transmuter. It's basically just turning things into other substances. So like when Killua is a transmuter, when they take the test to figure out like, oh yeah, you put your aura into this cup of water with a leaf in it, what happens? Well, Killua's, it turns into like a sweet water. He's able to change the substance. Gon, we learn, is an enhancer because he increases the amount of water in there. The character that we meet called Zushi, he is a manipulator because the leaf moves.
Okay.
I think there's one where like an emitter, it would.
It was on Wikipedia, but I didn't write them down.
I think an emitter, the leaf would cut, like it would split in the middle. I don't remember what Conjurer does, and I haven't mentioned the last one, which is Specialist. So for the most part, the closer you are on this chart to a type of an ability, the more likely you are to learn it. Specialist breaks all the rules. I don't know if they really said this in this series, but it's like a specialist is anything that does not fall into the other 5 categories. So it's just kind of a catch-all. Yeah, and there's some weird shit. So like we meet a character that's a specialist, and it's like, yeah, that's some weird shit.
Okay.
And it's like, it doesn't quite fit, but it's not like you can learn a specialist ability because it's not really on the chart. So we're just putting it down here, you know, like, so I in my chart, I have dotted lines on it going to that. Cause it's not like if you're a conjurer, you're really that close to being able to do a specialist type thing. So, but that's Nin. That's the magic system, which I really like that we got a really solid arc in the first arc without anything in it. I think that was refreshing. I'm fine with having like the magic power system in the show. I mean, it's a shonen. It's going to have that shit. And I think this show does a good job of being creative with the things and still approaching it as it's not just that I'm stronger than you, though there's a little bit of that. Like Hisoka is stronger than Gon. Like he's got to build up to that. That's fine. I'm fine with that. Yeah. But it's not just okay, well, I was able to beat this guy because I trained up and I can do more push-ups than him or whatever. You know, like not.
I outsmarted him.
Yeah, I had to think of a way to deal with his thing and, and use my strengths. You know, it's not like my strengths are less than yours. They're just different. Yeah. And then it's, going to be how we creatively deploy them, which I think the show does a good job of for the most part.
Except for maybe Killua. Killua just straight up punches people.
Right now.
Yeah.
He does stuff later. I don't want to say anything. Because I can tell you what their Hatsus become, like how their act.
No, I don't want to know that.
But I didn't. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like,
I'm interested.
Yeah. So
right now, I'm hoping Gon just turns really big.
It's really big.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it maybe eventually if you ever watch the rest of the show.
I will, just not immediately.
So what? When do you think? Because see, I have this written down in my notes. I kind of want to keep watching this show, and in fact, the last time we covered this on the show, I did just kind of keep watching the show.
You bastard!
I got like halfway through the Chimera Ant arc, and then I would watch like a couple of episodes of that while I was chilling out in my hotel room when I was on vacation, and I'm like, okay, I have other things to do, and then I kind of fell off because I know people love that arc, but I just don't like it as much, and it's a little long. So, 60 episodes when the longest arc before that is 20 episodes.
Yeah.
Or no, I guess the Hunter exam is like 26 episodes. But you gotta like think that's also Killua Rescue, and there's some recap episodes thrown in there. So
yeah.
So there's a couple of things I want to talk about. So Heaven's Arena, this big tower where it's like, yeah, you have fights and you make your way up the tower if you win, and you make your way down if you lose, and you can win money and prestige sort of thing.
Yep.
They're low on cash and they want to train, so they thought that's a good place to go. They quickly shoot up to the 200th floor. Yeah. The only like real obstacle in their way was Zushi, the character I mentioned before, because he is a nin acolyte, I guess. He's learning it.
Yes.
And he's pretty good for a kid. He's not as good as Gon and Killua because they're main characters.
Yeah.
They have main character syndrome. I'm sorry, Zushi.
His talents are 1 in 2 million, I think they said, or something.
No, they said his talents are 1 in 100,000.
Yeah, Zushi's is. I was talking about
yeah.
Goten and Killua.
Goten and Killua are 1 in 10 million.
10 million.
So, like, okay, what's this weird thing? They reach the 200th floor, and then Zushi's teacher, who lied to them about what Nin was before, is like, shit, these kids are going to get destroyed if I don't do the drastic method of unleashing their Nin abilities. Because they have until midnight to sign up, and they can't get past Hisoka just sitting in the hallway with his aura menacing. Mm-hmm. He's just standing there, menacingly, because he was sitting, but...
He was sitting. So they go to this guy named Wing.
Wing, yeah. But you had a theory that was like, is Wing going to be like the most powerful? Is he going to be the floor master? And it turns out that like they kind of give up on Heaven's Arena because they're bored by it. I didn't want to say anything at the time, but I'm like, yeah, they don't. My other theory is that they don't go to Battle Olympia. I'm sorry, they don't give a shit about it.
They set that up too. It's like, oh, okay, they're talking about this. That means it must show up later.
Yeah, and then like Castro, when he's there, he's like, oh, it's impressive. I'll see you at Battle Olympia. And then
they just don't do it, do they?
At one point their motivation was to gain money and go, and it's just like, I kind of want to reach the top of the tower. But then once they learn that it's like, oh, it's just like, more fights with dudes and then a tournament, and the top floor is just like a penthouse. I'm not all that interested anymore. I got what I needed out of Battle Arena or Heaven's Arena.
That might just be something where like he might have had an idea for like a Battle Olympia arc, but just decided not to do anything with it.
Maybe.
Whatever.
The man's done tournament arcs before. This is the writer of Yu Yu Hakusho, which is probably like the most highly regarded classic tournament arc with the Dark Tournament. So, anyway, I'm kind of glad that it doesn't like go into that too much. I like a tournament arc every now and again, but I think it would have too much more of this would have overstayed its welcome.
I mean, it wasn't a tournament arc, but it's a fighting
arc. It's a tournament arc.
Yeah.
Just by different rules, not classic tournament. It's okay, hey, we're gonna have a series of fights in an arena.
Yes.
You go up in rank instead of going like
advancing,
single elimination or whatever. So what was I gonna say? Yeah, I mean, we start with like reaching the 200th floor. It starts with just hey, look how powerful they are compared to normal people.
Yes.
Which is fun to an extent, but I'm glad that they kind of breeze past it. Because it quickly goes to, okay, hey, Nin users are a thing. Gon loses a fight, which is nice. It's nice when characters lose a fight.
Yes.
Because then you're like, okay, it's not just he learned it right away and he was able to, it's like, no, he lost. And now he needs to actually learn and get creative.
I do also like, though, it's also like, yeah, he's outmatched here, but he still kind of figured out what to do. It just wasn't strong enough to do it.
Yeah, it was nice. It was a refreshing thing from like, okay, well, little Goku's gonna always win. Okay. But then it gets kind of quickly to like, okay, now we can beat the basic bitch Nin users at this point. They're better than the...
Well, they get to level 200. They realize, hey, we need to learn this Nin stuff. They learn the very basics and are able to like get into the 200 level.
Yeah.
Go and immediately fight somebody, loses because he's not trained yet.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, now we gotta learn this stuff.
Yeah. So they take a little bit of time to learn it, and then they fight some people, and at that point they've outclassed them.
Yes.
Which is fine. Mm-hmm. But like I still feel like even though Gon outclassed like the top guy, it was fine because he still had to be creative with his fight of like, I need to like flip him over and then I'm going to break his little tops. Now he can't get back up and do the spin move again. I'm just going to punch through this solid steel rod that's like 4 inches thick.
That was a baller move.
Yeah.
Just incapacitating him.
Yeah. Well, we didn't mention that those guys were cheat, do anything to win, and they kidnapped Zushi, and so they were pissed at them, sort of thing.
The Killua threatened that guy.
Yeah, and that guy's just like, I'm out. That guy was going to murder me and my family, and I don't even have a family. I'm getting out of here, man. They'd have just...
Get out of here with my phantom arm.
I want to live, damn it. Then so he does well enough that Hisoka is like, okay, I'll grant you a fight.
Yes.
So they have a fight. We quickly realize that Hisoka is horny for killing, not for little boys.
Yeah.
People take it as he's horny for little boy, but he's horny for killing
little boy.
And even then, he's just like, nah, he needs to grow up some more and become a better fighter because it's not going to be as satisfying.
He's like, I gotta resist the urge to kill this guy because he's not strong enough yet.
Yeah, he's like, I really want to kill him. But
he's like blue balling himself.
If I wait a little bit longer, he'll get stronger.
He's gooning Rainbow.
Yeah, he's gooning, killing Gon. he's gooning Gon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, his whole thing is like, when he sees potential in somebody, he wants to fight them at their maximum potential and kill them.
Yes.
Which, like, he saw a little bit of that in Castro, and then he's like, okay, I have no interest in you. You've reached your peak, and you're not going to be fun.
He didn't kill
anymore.
Castro, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But he's no longer, like, interested in fighting Castro ever again.
Because he's like, this is your max. Easy.
Yeah. Like, oh, yeah, you fucked up. You went down the wrong skill tree. You irreversibly squandered your potential. So I kind of I'm not turned on by you anymore, sort of thing.
Reverse swing.
Yeah, reverse swing. But yeah, I think you finally get to see why people think Hisoka's a creepy guy.
Yeah, I wrote Hisoka's a freak.
I mean, do you remember him being? I mean, he was obviously like creepy.
Yeah.
But do you remember him being this creepy and horny on main?
I don't remember him being horny on main.
Okay.
I just remember him looking like a clown, being a little weird.
Yeah.
It's like, this guy really likes murder.
Yes. Gon's able to get a clean hit on him, so he's able to accomplish his other goal of being strong enough to give Hisoka the badge back that Hisoka just let him have.
That was a cool moment because I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about that.
Yeah, you forgot. I knew it happened, so it's a little different, but yeah. So he's finally like, okay, hey, I'll use my hunter license now because I didn't feel like I earned it when Hisoka just let me keep his badge. Meanwhile, Hisoka's like, little fucker snuck up on me. That's impressive. He deserves my badge.
Must resist the urge to kill.
This dude's badge is what I needed anyway, and I'll just go kill 3 random strangers. It's fine. But yeah, so that's kind of Hisoka's moving forward. He's kind of an uneasy ally at times because he's not going to directly act against Gon. Like, there's a part in one of the arcs where they're like, we need another person for this team. Well, Hisoka's around. They're like, maybe. And he's like, yeah, okay, yeah. I don't want to spoil anything else, but it'd be really funny if I said what the team was for. But I won't spoil it.
Gooning?
No, it's not a gooning team.
Hisoka's an expert gooner.
He is, yes. He's delayed gratification. He's all about that. Okay, so after we get like 2 episodes that's not really Heaven's Arena, that is just purely like breather setup for next arc.
Okay, you're talking about the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after they have the fight with Hisoka, they graduate from learning Nen. Wing reveals,
and they pass the secret exam.
Yes, Wing reveals, yep, this was the last actual hunter exam. And I don't think they said it in the show, but I think it was in the manga that, like, if he hadn't learned about Nin within, like at least gotten, like, 10 down and learned about his existence within, like, a year, they would have, like, taken his license back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, hey, yep, you finally passed. And Killua, if you go take the exam again, you'll pass. Yeah. Like... you're good. Oh, also, like, I'm a teacher of this school of martial arts and the chairman of the Hunter Association. He's like the grandmaster. So it's like, oh, okay.
The weird guy they fought.
Netero is his name. Yeah, I know. I really like this show. I think it's fun.
Mm-hmm. Did you want to explain the last 2 episodes a little?
Oh, yes. So they're like, I want to go back to see Mito, his mother-like figure, which we learn is his dad's cousin.
Dad's cousin.
Who basically raised Gon since he was like 2 years old.
Yep.
The Gon has no idea what happened to his mom. He actually does not care necessarily what happened to his mom, because to him, Mito is basically his mom. Mm-hmm. They do the thing where Mito overhears that, which I think is just very sweet. And then Mito's like, okay, well, your dad told me to... I'll tell you about your dad now. I've been reticent to tell you anything, because I was pissed at him for leaving and abandoning you and us, but I'll tell you now about him. And I don't know anything about your mom. And he's like, that's okay. Also, your dad told me to give you this box before, or when you got your hunter's license. So here you go. He's like, man, I can't open this box. Even Hisoka, who can push open several ton stone doors, not strong enough to rip open this box. So they have to use Nin to open it, and it just falls apart. And then they also have to use the hunter's license to open the next box. So it's like not even. He wouldn't have been content if Gon had just learned about Nin. He's like, no, you need to learn about Nin, and you need the license.
Yep.
Then you'll get this weird ring, which we don't know much about at this point. We'll get this memory card, which contains a save for some obscure game called Greed Island, which mass retail price was 5,800,000,000. Jinny is the thing. But they only made 100, so good luck getting it, because it's going to be way more expensive than that. And they find a little cassette with an audio recording. They listen to it. It's Gon's dad saying like, hey, do you want to find me? Are you sure? Okay, well, I'm not gonna... I chose adventure over family life, so good fucking luck.
Good luck.
It's like, oh, and if you want to learn anything about your mother, and he just stops it there. And then they tried to make a copy of the tape, but the player that they were playing it in had some sort of Nin built into it and erased the tape, including the copy. So no getting that back. But yeah, I mean that's the setup. Killua contacts his nerdy brother, his weeb brother, and is like, "What's this Greed Island thing? I'll trade you a Greed Island memory card for all the information you have." And he's like, "Well, there's a hunter only website, and you send me the memory card, I'll give you the address. Also, there should be one going on auction at York New City, which is where they were going to meet up with Kurapika and Leorio to help Kurapika with his quest to hunt down the spider troop, the phantom troop." So that is I guess we also learn what some of the other characters have been doing. They're like Hisoka and Killua's brother. They already knew Nin before going in. The ninja guy and Kurapika, they've since learned Nin. Leorio is studying for medical school. He's fine. I don't know when they reveal this, but he knows 10 by the time they meet up with him. But that's about it. Like, he does not know Zetsu or Rin at all, but he's sort of got 10 down. But
that makes sense.
Leorio is useful in other areas. And that's the other thing about this show. Is like Leorio is still a character despite being like underpowered from everybody else. He kind of shines in the election arc too, the very last one. Like, despite not being at all in the Chimera Ant or Green Island arc, he's just like, oh yeah, he showed back up in the election arc, and he's kind of, I don't know, he has a moment where he shines in that arc. That's what I'll say, or a couple moments. But yeah, that's I don't know what else to say about Hunter x Hunter Heaven's Arena arc. I liked it. I want to keep watching it. When do you think you would want to watch this again? A couple months?
Probably a couple months.
Okay.
We got some big projects we got to do.
Yes, we do. So, but we'll also, our goal right now is to get a big project and then to buy time for getting a big project done, to release individual episodes on the shows that we've been watching from this season. So like we'll watch a season and then we'll have a whole bunch of episodes built up because we can do an episode in each of those shows, and then that'll buy us time to do a big project there. Oh, I say a big project as in one that is a little bit more than 12 episodes or a movie.
Yeah.
That we really like, but it's going to be something that we're rewatching and we want to, have good notes on. We don't want to fumble these things. Mm-hmm. So, we're not going to watch like all One Piece or some shit like that.
No.
This is the closest we're going to get to watch. This and Detective Conan are the closest things we're going to get to long running shows, which Detective Conan is a pretty long running show, but,
at least those, it's like by season, not by arc.
Yeah, there's not really. They sort of introduce arcs later, but it's more just like, okay, hey, we're gonna have a bit of an arc, and then we're gonna break it up into like more 2-parters type thing. So there's gonna be a lot of single and 2-parters going on, but then they'll have like we'll have like an 8-episode arc or something.
Okay.
When it gets to the more black organization stuff, they're like, okay, we're going to devote more chapters than normal to this, but not that much more chapters than normal. But yeah, we'll get back to Hunter x Hunter. We'll get back to Detective Conan at some point. And then next episode is our 100th episode. So we were recording this one same day that we recorded 98. So we've bought ourselves some time. Basically
5 weeks.
Yeah, we bought ourselves 5 weeks at this point to get it watched and recorded. So, but yeah, that's kind of exciting. 100 episodes. Mm-hmm. Technically, we've hit 100 episodes with this one though, because the the first Helsing Ultimate Halloween one we did not count that in the episode numbers.
Oh,
that was a special. But then after that, we started counting the Halloween stuff as regular episodes. So this is stealthily episode 100, but it is not titled episode 100, so we will not celebrate it as such.
Okay.
I don't think we're really going to celebrate it much in episode of 100, other than we'll be covering one of our favorite shows. Mm-hmm. Assuming everything goes right. Assuming. All right. Well, we are Anime Territory. You can find us on the site formerly known as Twitter as Anime_Territory. You can find us on YouTube as Anime Territory. You can find us anywhere, most places podcasts are found as Anime Territory. You are now leaving the Anime Territory.
Goodbye.